one is visible to you people? So, in last class, I told you that cell is the basic functional unit of a human body. Okay, like for making anything in this planet, it is made up of some small particles. Either it may be any kind of molecule, like it may be any kind of atoms. Okay, so in same manner, if I talk about human body, so cell is the basic unit or the smallest unit. Okay. So the cell is the basic structural, functional, and biological unit of all known living organism, whatever may be the living organism. On the basis of cell, we divide them. Okay, for example, if I classify, the human body or the species present on this planet, so we classify on the basis of cell. So unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular organisms means that are made up of one cell. Okay, and multicellular organisms are made up of more than one cells. Okay, so being a human, we are coming under multicellular organisms. Okay, so they are often called as the building block of life. Okay, mostly cell are microscopic because they are very small in size, so we can see these cells with the help of microscope. If I talk about microscopy, so first cell was if I talk about, it was Koch cell, which was seen by, I think so, Robert Hooke seen that Koch cell through microscope or the lens, the lenses which people use, gem, to identify the gems or watchmaker people use. From that microscopic lens or magnifying lens, he see the first cell. Okay, so from there the cell theory starts. Okay, so mostly the cells are microscopic, and every cell size is 1/5 size of the smallest dot you can make. Okay, so if I ask you to make a dot on a piece of paper, okay, 1/5, if you divide that with the help of pencil, so 1/5 of that dot is your size of cell. Okay, although there are minute cells act as a complex factories to carry out the functions. Okay, so if I talk about related to factories or functionalities of these cells, so they varies. Okay, so these are the basic, if I talk about related to cell, so these are the basic things related to cell. Okay, so their sizes in various animals, if I talk about like prokaryotic, eukaryotic, so 7 to 8 micrometers or nanometers, or on the basis of their functionality, the size of cell varies. Okay, so cell structure, if I told, like cell membrane is there, cytoplasm is there, nucleus is there, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, lysosomes, plasmid, vacuoles, ribosomes, and centrioles. These are the basic structure of cell. Cell membrane, as I told you, membrane indicates the outer covering. Okay, so the cell membrane is known as the plasma membrane or cytoplasmic membrane. It is a biological membrane that that separates the interior of all cells from outside environment. So how it is separated from external environment? It is separated. Okay, so what is the function of this membrane? In last class also I told you, to separate the things, to make the things very easier. कि external environment may, if I ask I need to carry pulses also, I need to carry rice also, I need to carry vegetables also. So if we pack them into different polys, it will be very easy to distinguish and utilize that. If I mix everything together, it will be very difficult for me. So the function of this cell membrane is to separate the all components of cell from the external environment. Okay, and on the basis of these separation, they it makes the things more easier to work. Okay, so it's it is selectively permeable membrane. Like in last class also we have discussed, like osmosis I have told you, and everything I have told you from that PDF, ki how this functionality of cell varies on the basis of external and internal pressure. Okay, like reasons hai, grams hai, what happens अगर हमने इन्हें overnight soak करते हैं water. If we soak these things into water, like your chickpeas, or if I talk about gram peas, or if I talk about reasons what happens, basically they swollen up. Okay, why they swollen up? Because the outer membrane is permeable, they permit the water molecule to enter into the cell, enter into that particular gram, and they swollen up after the absorption. Once they achieve the maximum size, they will not grow. Okay, so this is a basic function of cell membrane if I talk about. Okay, so they provide the selective ions to migrate, not everything. Okay, if you keep that raisins into another any another heavy oil based medium or some another medium, it will not easily swollen up. It will be swollen up, but the time of getting swollen up will be more. Okay, in case of water, it will very faster, but in case of oil or heavy greasy material, if I talk about, or viscous material, if I talk about, it will take more time or it will not swollen up. Okay. So depending upon what kind of ions can penetrate through that that selective permeable membrane, and then they will show the effect. Okay. So the basic function of cell membrane is to protect the cell from its surrounding. So whatever may be the environment into the surrounding, the cell membrane protects. Okay. The cell membrane also play a role in anchoring of the cytoskeleton to provide the shape to the cell. Okay. The first function is to maintain the biological movement की outside external temperature कितना inside कितना होना चाहिए. First thing they maintain this. Second thing is कि they protect the membrane from surrounding कि whatever may be the external factors, maybe outside कोई chemical ज्यादा हो, वो inside की जो भी आपके organelles हैं या जो भी small components सब components हैं उस cell के, उनको affect ना करे, उनकी functionalities को affect ना करे. Cell membrane acts as a protector also over there. Okay, and thirdly, anchoring. Anchoring means to hold, to provide the shape of a cell. Whatever may be the structure, whether it is a cuboidal, columnar, flat, squamous, whatever may be the shape of cell, it will be determined by your cell membrane. Okay. Next is your cytoplasm. So basically, cytoplasm is the substance that fills the cell. Okay. So plasma membrane के बाद आपका when you see the this um, cross section of cell, you will see a water body. Plasma membrane, when you dissect, you see a water body, and these water bodies, jelly like substances there. Okay, water body you can say, or jelly-like substance. In that jelly-like substance, a small different organelles will be there, and that jelly-like substance or watery substance is called as cytoplasm. Okay, so this fills the cell. Okay, तो आपका cushion effect या fluffy effect to cell अगर कोई provide कर रहा है, तो cytoplasm is basically providing that. It is a jelly-like substance and it is made up of 80% water and usually clear and colorless. It serves as a molecular soup, and it is in the cytoplasm where all cellular organisms are suspended and are bounded together by lipid bilayer membrane. The peripheral zone of the cytoplasm is thick and jelly-like substance known as plasmogel. The surrounding areas of nuclear zone is thin and liquefied in nature and also known as plasmazole. Okay, so it told that it is a jelly-like substance and made up of 80% of water. Okay, and it when you see it is a colorless and clear and colorless substance. Okay, so cytoplasm holds everything. Okay, one thing I need to tell you, in last class when I zoom out this picture, I just forgot to tell you, I told ki your this membrane is bilipid layer formation. So you can see ki at the both side there is a dotted substance and they had a tail. So when you see the structure, bilipid is like they had two layers, one head side and another is tail side. Okay, and you can see ki the yellow or orangish color ball and then a black color two filament legs are there. Okay, so this is how from upper and lower side two filaments are there and head is there. That's why two molecules, one is from upper and one is from lower strand, they form arranged in such a manner they form a bilipid layer or cubical structure. In this picture, you can easily see. Okay, clear guys or not? Wait a minute. I'll show you another picture of bilipid layer. You'll able to see this picture on your screen, which I'm sharing right now. This is how your membrane is made up of biphospholipid layer. Okay, you can see one circular head with two strands. Each molecule, if I talk about phospholipid layer, mein, single phospholipid is made up of one head and one tail. Hydrophobic means that is fear of water. Tail is fearful of water. That's why they are placed towards inside. And hydrophilic means head is a water lover. So heads are outside, so you can see the both heads, which is water lover, is outside, and the tail, which is hydrophobic, they are inside. And why it is bilayered means two layers of phospholipid is arranged. That's why it is known as bilayered phospholipid. So the membrane is made up of bilayered phospholipid layers. Okay, clear now? So if I talk about, so the molecules are suspended. If I talk about cytoplasm, so the every organelles like your nucleus, your mitochondria, your endoplasmic reticulum, everything will be suspended into these this cytoplasm, jelly like substance. Okay, so the peripheral cytoplasm is thick jelly like substance is known as plasmogen. तो जो outside है वो ज्यादा thick होता है. Why it is so thick? If something very harmful comes, it should not enter into the liquefied nature of the cytoplasm. It enters into that plasma gel and they will resolve at that level. Okay. So the cytoskeletal of cytoplasm provides the shape and also facilitates the movement. So आपके जितने भी organelles हैं, they are suspended into the water like it's like ocean like, and these organelles are floating into these. Why? Because the movement will be faster. Okay, so it provides a faster movement and it forms a framework for the movement of organelles around the cytoplasm. Okay, so easily movement of everything will be possible into this structure. Okay, next is your ER. What I'm telling you is endoplasmic reticulum. There are two type of ER. One is your smooth endoplasmic reticulum, another is your rough endoplasmic reticulum. You can see smooth endoplasmic reticulum में कोई dot structures नहीं है, but rough endoplasmic reticulum जो है red color का, उसमें आपको dotted structures मिलेंगी. That is your ribosomes. Okay, and at the center they have nucleus, and nucleus is covered into the nuclear envelope. So ER is a type of organelle that eukaryotic cells forms and intercurrent the network of flattened membrane close. Eukaryotic and prokaryotic animals, again they are divided on the basis of cell structures. Okay, so AR is a functional or I can say identifying feature of eukaryotic cell. Okay, and the structures are made up of cysteine and outer nucleus. The absence of ribosomes at outer surface makes smooth. Okay, if you don't have ribosomes on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum, it will form a smooth type of endoplasmic reticulum. But if you had that ribosomes present on the outer surface of this endoplasmic reticulum, it will form a rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, next is your nucleus. As the nucleus is the basic structure, if I talk about the nucleus is again bound by the membrane, and this contains the hereditary information and controls the cell growth कि आपका mitosis होना है, meiosis होना है, या what kind of reproduction and how much reproduction has to be done. So all the hereditary information and the cell growth will be controlled by the nucleus. Okay, it is the command center of eukaryotic cell. So आपका control house जो होता है वो है आपका nucleus. Okay. Nucleus is the largest organelle in the human cell. In mammalian cell, the average diameter of nucleus is approximately 6 micrometers, which occupies about 10% of cell volume. तो आपका 100% cell volume में 10% जो है वो nucleus ही occupy कर लेता है. Okay, and viscous liquid within it is called nucleoplasm. तो आपके nucleus के अंदर जो gel like substance or watery substance है उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? Nucleoplasm. It appears as a dense and roughly spherical or irregular organelle. Okay, so again it is irregular organelle. Why it is so irregular? Because it is covered by your this endoplasmic reticulum from outside. So it will protect the nucleus from outer structures and other structures. Okay, so the viscous liquid within the nucleus is called nucleoplasm, and it appears dense and roughly spherical or irregular organelles. So आपका whatever if I talk about the nucleoplasm inside, it is very dense and roughly spherical. Oval नहीं होता, spherical in shape होता है and irregular organelles से contain. Okay, so nucleus functionality, I told you कि they contain the genetic material, means they contain your DNA. And where these DNAs are contained, they DNA carries by chromosomes. So nucleus definitely is going to control your carry your chromosomes. Okay, and in those chromosomes DNA is there. Okay, deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, and RNA is ribonucleic acid. So, and again, the another function is controlling the protein synthesis. The cell has to perform different functions. One is your protein synthesis, another is cell division, third is they carry the genetic hereditary information. So it will control ki how a person is looking like, what is their structure, what is their shape, body build, everything will be controlled by your nucleus. Okay. Next is your Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is also known as Golgi complex, okay, or simply Golgi. The organelles is found mostly in eukaryotic and also involved in transportation of lipid around the cell and creation of lysosomes. They have a folded sacs, and apparatus is called cysterine. Okay, so Golgi apparatus usually, whatever the features we have seen, the majorly is of eukaryotic category. Okay. And what is the function of Golgi apparatus is to collection and dispatch of the protein products. Whatever the protein product is formed, they majorly collect that and they dispatch that. So receiving and storage function they do for the protein. Okay, Golgi apparatus. As apparatus name indicates, कि they store something. Apparatus होता है उसमें what we will do, we store something. Okay, mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of cell. Okay, so the mitochondria, the plural mitochondria, is a double membrane bound organelle and found in all eukaryotic organisms, although some cells have organisms may lack them. And which if I talk about which cell lack the mitochondria, So in human body, red blood cell lacks the mitochondria. Okay. And what is the main job to perform the cellular respiration? Means it takes the nutrients from the cell and break down and utilize into the energy. That's why it is called as powerhouse of the cell. So what happens कि for example we take the food, हमने food लिया, food को हम glucose form में लेते हैं. आप जो भी फूड खा रहे हैं, एनर्जी गिविंग फूड इफ आई टॉक अबाउट इज योर कार्बोहाइड्रेट. कार्बोहाइड्रेट बेसिकली आपको एनर्जी देते हैं. जितना भी शुगर कंटेनिंग फूड है वो आपको एनर्जी देता है. दैट्स व्हाई जब बीपी लो होता है या फॉल डाउन होता है तो हम क्या बोलते हैं कि पेशेंट को फटाफट ग्लूकोज दो. वाई इट इज सो? ताकि वो एनर्जी लैक कर रहा है, वो एनर्जी बॉडी को चाहिए और सेल्स को चाहिए फंक्शन करने के लिए. तो वी गिव देम इंस्टेंट एनर्जी. तो हम क्या बोलते हैं कि चॉकलेट्स इंस्टेंट एनर्जी देता है, या ग्लूकोज को 75 ml मिक्स करके हम आपको ओरली देते हैं या आपको आईवी के थ्रू देते हैं. दिस इज व्हाट वी बेसिकली डू. ओके. व्हाई इट इज डन सो? तो दैट ग्लूकोज इज यूटिलाइज इनटू द ग्लाइकोलाइसिस. ग्लाइकोलाइसिस हमारा एक बॉडी में साइकिल होता है जहाँ पे हम ग्लूकोज को ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं और वो ग्लूकोज का जो एंड प्रोडक्ट मॉलिक्यूल होता है वो क्रेब्स साइकिल में जाता है. एंड क्रेब्स साइकिल में क्या करता है वो कि एटीपी बनाता है, एनर्जी बनाता है. ठीक है. एनएडीपीएच और एटीपी फॉर्मेशन करता है. ये एनर्जी को दी सेल्स स्टोर. और ये सारा प्रोसेस कहाँ हो रहा है? एनर्जी कन्वर्जन का. जो न्यूट्रिशन की बात की मैंने, कार्बोहाइड्रेट इज योर न्यूट्रिशन. जो आप फूड ग्लूकोज से या चॉकलेट से ले रहे हैं या पोटैटो से, राइस से, चपाती से, जो भी हम कार्बोहाइड्रेट ले रहे हैं वो फूड से ले रहे हैं. वो फूड से क्या हुआ कि इसने सेल ने न्यूट्रिशन को ऑब्जॉर्ब किया. उस न्यूट्रिशन को ऑब्जॉर्ब करने के बाद व्हाट हैपेंस ग्रेजुअली कि they break down that chemical substance C6H12O6 into form of energy. एंड उसको एनर्जी, वहां से एनर्जी को डराइव करके और उसको अनदर फॉर्म में बॉडी में स्टोर कर देता है. ठीक है. तो यू कैन सी कि हाउ दिस होल प्रोसेस इज कैरिंग आउट. एंड दिस प्रोसेस जो सेल ने न्यूट्रिशन को ऑब्जॉर्ब किया उसके बाद से एनर्जी फॉर्मेशन विल टेकिंग प्लेस इनटू दिस माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया. So the major job of mitochondria is to perform the cellular respiration. It means it takes the nutrition from the cell and breaks down or turn down into the energy. And this energy is used by cell to carry out various functions. So आपका whatever the functionality you perform, आपको चलना है, whatever locomotion, everything you want to move your hand, you want to respire, everything, every motion requires energy. And from where we are getting this energy? From these mitochondria. Okay. Mitochondria is also known as power of house of the cell because they generate most of the cell supplies of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. What I was telling, they produces ATP. That ATP is your, if I talk about their chemical name is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, used as source chemical energy. Okay, so in human body everything is prepared in the form of chemical energies. Okay, so the number of mitochondria in cell can vary widely by the organism, tissue and cell type. For instance, the red blood cells have no mitochondria, where liver cells have more than 2000 mitochondria. So you can see, depending upon the functionality of a particular cell or depending upon the need of the particular cell, the body is designed. Okay, and on the basis of that they are provided with that particular thing. So for example, liver has to perform different functions, they have to perform multiple functions. That's why they need more energy or more mitochondria. So they have more mitochondria. But if I talk about RBC, they don't need this, because their function is ki they need to bind with oxygen, they need to bind with another molecule for transportation function and all these functions. That's why red blood cell don't have any mitochondria. Next is your lysosomes. A lysosome is a membrane-bound organelle found in mostly in animal cells. They are spherical vessels which contain hydrolytic enzymes. Lysosomes, as name indicate, कि lysis कर रहा है. ठीक है. And what kind of things get lysis? For example, कोई भी फॉरेन पार्टिकल अगर ह्यूमन बॉडी पे अटैक करता है तो हम बोलते हैं कि बॉडी का डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म और इम्यून सिस्टम इज स्टार्टेड वर्किंग. So how this immune system started working and what all things. So this lysosomes play important role in the defense mechanism of human body. Okay. So what happens, for example, कि कोई भी foreign particle, you can see the picture mentioned over here. Okay. So what you are saying कि foreign particle when it enters, so what happens कि cell जो है वो pseudopodia formation करता है, 2 foot बना रहा है. Okay, cell is making 2 foots, and what it is doing कि दोनों side से it is extending its foot and trying to engulf that, like it's open its mouth and trying to eat that pathogen or foreign particle. So cell is going to open its mouth and trying to capture that and close its mouth. So what happens, gradually this foreign particles moves inside into the cell. Now what it is going, either it is going to damage the cell organelles or cell is going to damage this foreign particle. Two possibilities are there only. So one is if destroy the damage the cell organelle, it leads to the death of the cell. Okay, that is the one part. Second part, what happens, the cell releases certain enzymes. Okay, so a cell releases certain enzymes and lysosomes basically, and this lysosomes, what it will do, it will secrete lysosomal enzymes and hydrolytic enzymes, and this kills the hydrolytic enzymes and lysosomal enzymes. These hydrolytic enzymes basically kill this foreign particle, and lysis of this foreign particle will be done. Okay, and what happens once the lysis will be done, the and they will further destroy and releases outside the body. Okay, so this is what the mechanism of okay, how body function is basic defense mechanism, I'm telling you one. Okay, so the lysosome is a membrane bound organelle found into mostly into the animal cell. They are spherical vessel which contain the hydrolytic enzymes and break down the virtual all kind of biomolecules. So this hydrolytic enzyme is basically has capability to breaking down all kinds of biomolecule. It is one of a key organelle which involves the digestion and waste removal and contain the digestive enzymes also. Okay, so other than defense, they also play important role into the digestion of that foreign particle and removal of waste from the human body. Okay, the interior of lysosomes is acidic compared to the slightly basic cystol. So the nature of this lysosomes, if I talk about, they contain certain amount of acidic nature. Okay. Lastly is your plasmid. Plasmid is a small DNA molecule within which a cell, within a cell that is physically separated from a chromosome DNA and can replicate independently. So plasmid is like a cover or a capsule-like structure. Okay, and they contain a DNA molecule inside, a small DNA molecule within the cell, and they have a capability to replicate independently, and they are mostly commonly found in bacteria or small circular double stranded DNA molecule. So whatever maybe small circular double stranded DNA molecules are there, all those having same features, उनमें आपको plasmid का feature मिलेगा. Okay, so the plasmid often carry the genes that may benefit the survival of organisms. From example, antibiotic resistance. What happens, for example, कि antibiotic resistance word is there, so I can explain you this theory. कि they had a capacity to regenerate. Up whatever may be the circumstances. For example, if I talk about like human body, so when we are giving any kind of vaccines, so what we usually do in vaccine, either we give a live आपका pathogen, whatever the pathogen which is causing a particular disease, so उसका live pathogen either we inject into the human body or we give a killed attenuated vaccines. तो उसमें आपको killed pathogens we give into the human body. So what happens ki when we injected that pathogens into the human body, body will create certain kind of antigen. That pathogen is antigen. When that antigen enter into the human body, what happens as a response of defense mechanism? Body will produce antibodies. Okay, so व्हाट हैपेंस कि अर्ली एज में वी हैव डन दैट वैक्सीनेशन, हमने वो एंटीजन देके एंटीबॉडीज को बॉडी में प्रोड्यूस करवा दिया। अब जो आपकी बी सेल्स होते हैं दैट विल प्रोड्यूस द एंटी बॉडीज, एंड T cells is memory cells. So once that antibodies are produced, they will be stored into the human memory. कि whenever the such kind of or same pathogen attacks into that particular condition or attacks on the human body, what happens? That particular antibody will be produced by the body to kill that. So this is your adaptation process. This is your adaptation process. Okay. So we are becoming resistant to that pathogen. Vaccination में ऐसा नहीं होता कि you are free. We are becoming resistant to that particular pathogen. कि severe condition है resistant हो जाए. Same thing happens with microbes also. कि for example we are giving 500 azithromycin to kill a particular pathogen, but क्या हो रहा है कि वो अपनी प्लाज्मिड में वो भी डिवाइड होके ग्रो कर रहा है टू दैट पर्टिकुलर एंटीबायोटिक। तो आफ्टर सर्टेन टाइम क्या होगा कि वो भी रेजिस्टेंट हो जाएगा दैट पर्टिकुलर डोज। तो वी हैव टू चेंज द एंटीबायोटिक टू गेट अ बेटर रिजल्ट। ओके, तो सेम थिंग हैज बीन मेंशन्ड ओवर देयर कि एंटीबायोटिक रेजिस्टेंस हो जाता है तो पैथोजेंस को। व्हाई दिस हैपेंस? बिकॉज आपका जो प्लाज्मिड है उसके अंदर जो आपका डीएनए मटेरियल है वो एवेल्युएट होके पर्टिकुलर कंडीशंस में अपने आप को रेप्लिकेट कर रहा है। तो फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने कंडीशंस को चेंज कर दिया फॉर द पीपल लिविंग इनटू द अफ्रीका, उनको वहां की 50 डिग्री 60 डिग्री टेम्परेचर्स पे रहने की आदत है। पीपल लिविंग इनटू साउथ अमेरिका और कश्मीर, उनको 30 40 डिग्री भी टू हाई फॉर देम। बट पीपल फॉर फ्रॉम अफ्रीका उनके लिए 50 डिग्री इज नॉर्मल। Why it is so? Because they are adapted according to that. They are resistant to that temperature. Same thing happens with these microorganisms also. कि these genesis जो डीएनए का एवोल्यूशन है वो एवोल्यूशन या इवॉल्व ऐसा हुआ, they make themselves resistant to that particular antibiotic. Okay, so they can easily survive at that particular dose or on that particular antibiotic also. Okay, so plasmids are usually very small containers, only additional genes, and they may be useful to the organs under certain situation or particular condition. तो ये क्या करते हैं? Particular conditions और particular situations में उनको prevent करते हैं. Plasmids are much used in laboratory for manipulation of genes. तो आपको whenever you want to replicate any genes और आपको whenever we do any kind of scientific study, हम किसी भी स्ट्रैंड को स्ट्रॉन्ग करना चाहते हैं या वीक करना चाहते हैं या उनकी प्रॉपर्टीज को पढ़ना चाहते हैं, इन दैट कंडीशन वी यूज दिस प्लाज्मिड्स इनटू द लैबोरेटरी फॉर बेटर रिजल्ट। ओके, स्पेशली इन केस ऑफ ड्रग्स एंड फार्माकोलॉजी। ओके, vacuole is mainly, as name indicate, vacuole means empty spaces. Okay, so the vacuole is a membrane bound organelle which is present in plant and fungal cells, and some protists, animals, and bacteria. Vacuoles are essentially enclosed compartments which are filled with water containing organic and inorganic molecules, including enzymes in solution. So I told you कि empty spaces and they don't contain any specific, organelles or any specific genetic material. They are simply a compartment which is filled up of certain kind of organic, inorganic molecules, including enzymes also. Okay, so vacuoles are formed by the fusion of multiple membranes, vesicle, and forms of these. There is no basic shape and structure, varies according to the need of the cell. So whatever the need of the cell, they varies accordingly. Okay, what is the function of these vacuoles? To hold the material and waste. So whatever the waste is produced into the human body, they hold that, and whatever the material, excess material, they contain that also. Okay, it also functions to maintain the proper pressure within the plant cell to provide the structure and support to the, in case of plant cell, they provide the structure and support to the plant cells. Next is your ribosomes. This is a ribosome is your complex molecule and machine, and this is the site where your protein synthesis take place. In case of human body and animal cell, the protein synthesis will be taking place in Ribosomes are like amino acids linked together in a specific order by messenger RNAs or uh, molecules. So ribosomes amino acids होते हैं basically, and they are linked with mRNA. So whenever we need any kind of messenger RNA means कि they carry certain kind of messages. So whenever we need any additional support, these ribosomes will help out. Okay, so they can be found within the cytoplasm attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Basically, ribosomes का protein synthesis के अलावा whenever if I talk about where it is needed, तो certain stages of DNA and RNA synthesis में भी इनका need पड़ता है. Okay, तभी वो messenger RNA से linked होता है. Next is your centrioles. Centrioles is, as name indicates, it is a cylindrical structure composed mainly of an protein called tubulin that is found into mostly into eukaryotic. Centrioles, as name indicates, these central like rod like structures होते हैं, okay, and involved into the organization of mitotic spindles and completion of cytokinesis. So ये आपके cell divisions में mainly centrioles is like central part, और ये cell division में mainly they play important role, and they determine the positioning of the nucleus. If I talk about central, so they determine the positioning of the nucleus. Okay, and the main function of central is to help into the cell division and animal cell that I already told you. कि central का major function आपका human की body में cell division में होता है. Okay, this the basic of cell we have covered today. Okay, now any doubt related to cell का जो भी component we have studied? Any doubt related to whatever component we have studied related to cell, guys?
Please continue, madam.
Okay, okay. So give me 2 minutes. I'll start with the tissue. Just give me 2 minutes. Wait a minute. So if I just we have when group of, I told you like this is a series. The group of cell is group of cell when they form together they form tissues. So definitely when the cells they link together they form a tissue. So now moving towards the tissue. So we have studied basics of some tissue. Anyone can give me a review related to that? सेल में कोई डाउट नहीं है. PPT is visible to you people related to tissue or not? So next part is your tissue. If I talk about tissue, tissue is the cellular organization, means the group of cells when they club together they form certain, and they when similar type of cells when they are clubbed together and perform a similar type of function, they are considered as a tissue. So tissue is a cellular organization level intermediate between cell and complete organ. So आपका cell एक basic structure हो गया. Group of cell is known as tissue. Group of tissue is known as organ. So between organelle and between cell, it is an intermediate state. Okay, it is an assemble of similar type of cells I told you already, that has the same origin, and they carried out specific function like respiratory cells. एक category of cells है उनका similar function है. I can if I talk about cutaneous cells, तो आपका ये subcutaneous cells तो skin related functions है सबका, कि आपका protection होगा, cushion effect होगा, temperature maintenance है, sweating, everything. Okay, so the study of tissue is known as histology basically. Okay, so this category of now coming to different types of tissue, we have epithelial tissues, we have mucoskeletal tissues or muscle tissues, we have connective tissues. Okay, now coming to connective tissue, again we have different three categories. So one by one we will start. Epithelial tissue, as name indicate, the outer covering. That is a squamous, cuboidal, then columnar, and then transitional epithelium tissues. Okay, if I talk about muscle tissues, we have smooth, skeletal, and cardiac tissues. Then we have connective tissues, fluid connective tissue we have, then we have surrounding connective tissue or supporting connective tissue, and one is your normal connective tissue. So everything like your blood will be coming your connective tissue as a part. Lastly, we have a nervous tissue. Next, what is the different types of epithelium? We have simple squamous epithelium, then simple cuboidal, simple columnar, then stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, and pseudo-stratified columnar and transitional epithelium. So simple squamous means कि flat cell they are present with nucleus. Simple cuboidal means cube-like structures they are having. Okay. Then we have simple columnar means tall column-like cells we are having. Stratified squamous means कि आपका basic में जो है striations, it seems like कि आपका different layers होगा, but there is no proper differentiation between the layers. Stratified cuboidal means कि two different layers or three different layers of cuboidal cells will be there. Pseudo stratified means it seems like a pseudo stratified columnar. It means कि false appearance of multiple layer of columnar cells it will give, but there is no differentiations of different layers of columnar cells will be seen. Okay, आपको लगेगा कि मल्टीपल लेयर्स ऑफ कॉलमनार सेल्स है इसमें, सूडो मीन्स फॉल्स अपीयरेंस ये आपको देगा. ओके, एंड ट्रांजिशनल एपिथेलियम इज लाइक डिफरेंट लेयर्स, लाइक पहले आपका क्यूबॉइडल होगा, फिर वो आपका फ्लैट सेल्स में होगा और स्ट्रेटिफाइड स्क्वैमस में होगा या सिंपल क्यूबॉइडल में, फिर लेटर ऑन वो जो है अपर में जाकर के स्क्वैमस में या सिंपल क्यूबॉइडल में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. So transition means the different changes or phases of a particular cell growth का वो represent करेगा. Okay. So simple squamous epithelium has the surface outermost apical layer, thin flat cells they are basically with nucleus. Okay, they are maybe composed of one layer cells. Okay, and it may possess a multiple layer, refers to as stratified squamous epithelium. अगर single layer है तो आपका squamous epithelium होगा. अगर more than a multiple layer of flat cells will be there, it will be considered as your squamous epithelium. Okay, and polygonal in appearance from above. आपको दिखेगा polygon या pentagon type appearance आपको top से इनका दिखता है. Okay, next is your cuboidal epithelium. So they have a cube-like structure. Okay, which is equal in height and width. आपका cube-like structure में equal height होगा, equal width होगा. They exist in single layers, तो आपका simple होगा. Multiple layer में तो stratified cuboidal epithelium होगा, depending upon the location into the body and functions. Okay, next is the columnar epithelium. So the columnar epithelium cells are the epithelial cells whose height are at least 4 times to their width. The columnar epithelium is divided into simple or unilayered and stratified or multilayered. में ये divide होता है. They are found into the inner linings of intestine and they secrete the digestive enzymes and absorb the digestion food. Okay, so columnar epithelium basically where you will find into your digestive tracts. Okay, transitional epithelium, it is a type of tissue consisting of multiple layer epithelial cells which is contract एंड एक्सपेंड हो जाएगा आपका जो भी ट्रांजिशनल में एज पर द नीड ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गन। ये आपका बेसिकली ग्लैंड्स में पाया जाता है, जितने भी ग्लैंड्स और प्रोस्टेट या डक्ट्स में, यूरेथ्रा में, इन सब में आपका पाया जाएगा। ओके, सो सुपीरियर यूरेथ्रा, ग्लैंड डक्ट्स ऑफ प्रोस्टेट, urinary bladder, urethra and urothelium. In this type of tissues we will find out in case of transitional, I'm telling you. Okay, what is the function? It is a barrier between the lumen and inside the hollow space. तो ग्लैंड्स में क्या होता है कि इनसाइड हॉलो स्पेस होता है, वहां पे आपका डिफरेंट सिक्रेशन हो रहा है एंड आपका डक्ट होता है, तो उनके बीच में ये बैरियर का एक्ट करता है ताकि जो भी सिक्रेशन है वो डायरेक्टली ब्लड लाइन में, ब्लड स्ट्रीम में ना एंटर करें। ओके, so these are the basic cells I have told you, tissues I have told you. Okay, now coming to connective tissue. So connective tissue is again loose, dense. Connective tissue, first is your connective tissue proper, means कि आपका जो major function of these connective tissue is to join any part of human body, like आपका एरियोलर टिश्यूज हो गए, रेक्टल टिश्यूज हो गए, एनी टिश्यूज जिनको आपको ज्वाइन कराना है, टू ज्वाइनिंग टिश्यूज को। ओके, सो दीज आर ऑफ टू टाइप्स, लूज और डेंस। लूज एज नेम इंडिकेट कि आपके जितने भी फ्लूइड कंटेनिंग और फ्लूइड बॉडी पार्ट्स होंगे जहाँ पे लूजली दीज आर अटैच टू ईच अदर। सो adipose tissue, reticular tissues and areolar tissues are the part of loose. They hold the organ in place and attaches the epithelium and other underlying tissue. So एज नेम इंडिकेट की कनेक्टिव टिश्यू है प्रॉपर, तो मेजर फंक्शन क्या होगा कि कोई भी ऑर्गन को होल्ड करना है, उनको कनेक्ट करना है दूसरी किसी ऑर्गन के साथ। ओके, या दूसरे किसी मसल्स या टिश्यूज या आपके बोन्स के साथ। इट इज फाउंड इनटू द टिश्यू सेक्शंस ऑलमोस्ट एवरी पार्ट ऑफ अ बॉडी। तो हर एक पार्ट ऑफ अ बॉडी में दीज टिश्यूज विल बी फाउंड आउट। डेंस फाइब्रस टिश्यू, जहां पे आपको जो है पैकिंग की फंक्शनैलिटी के लिए जो चाहिए ना मैट्रिक्स एलिमेंट, जहां पैक करना है थिक पैकिंग के लिए, वहां पे होता है रोप लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स सच एज टेंडन एंड लिगामेंट। आई टोल्ड यू कि इनको पैक करने के लिए यूज करते हैं, तो आपके टेंडन एंड लिगामेंट्स में ये मिलेगा, क्योंकि कोई भी ऑर्गेनल्स को ये ज्वाइन कराने के साथ साथ उधर पैकिंग का भी प्रोवाइड करते हैं टेंडन एंड लिगामेंट। नेक्स्ट इज योर फ्लूइड कनेक्टिव टिश्यू, आपके ब्लड हो गया और लिम्स हो गया। ब्लड में बेसिकली आपका डब्ल्यूबीसी, आरबीसी एंड प्लेटलेट्स तीनों को कंसिडर किया जाता है। ओके, कनेक्टिव टिश्यूज। ओके, अब व्हाट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ फ्लूइड कनेक्टिव टिश्यू? आपका ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई है, आपका न्यूट्रिशन सप्लाई, आपका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन है, एवरीथिंग विल बी कैरिड आउट बाय दीज डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म, एवरीथिंग दे प्ले। लिम्फ में क्या है कि आपका क्लियर फ्लूइड प्लाज्मा contain less proteins. Okay, and lymphatic vessels में ये flow करता है बॉडी में। if I talk about ना two types of flow हमारा होता है if you go into this, one is your blood flow, जो कि blood flow आपका वो डायरेक्शन में होता है, but lymphatic flow हमेशा one directional होता है। okay, so लिम्फ नोड्स आपने देखा होगा बॉडी में, आपका मेंटल में है, पैराथायरॉयड लिम्फ नोड्स होती हैं, आपका एल्वियोलर रीजन में है, एरियोला में है। ठीक है, तो डिफरेंट लिम्फ नोड्स आप जैसे कहते हैं कि इन्फेक्शन के केस में वी चेक के लिम्फ नोड्स ग्रो कर जाती हैं। सो व्हाई इट इज सो? बिकॉज फाइटिंग कैपेसिटी कंडीशंस होती हैं। ओके, सो lymph is clear fluid similar to the plasma but contain less protein, and it flows through the lymphatic vessels throughout the body and includes the chemicals and cells whose composition is according to location within the body. तो वे अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल जहां पे प्रेजेंट होगा उसके अकॉर्डिंग इसका कंपोजिशन होता है, बट दे प्ले अगेन इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन केस ऑफ डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म। लिम्फेटिक फ्लो और लिम्फ का आपका डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म में मेजर रोल प्ले होता है। एंड इन केस ऑफ कैंसर्स और सीवियर डिजीज कंडीशन ये इंडिकेटर्स होते हैं। lymph node involvements will be the indicators. Okay, so cartilage. Cartilage is resistant and smooth endoplasmic tissue as name indicate cartilage. तो आपका लॉन्ग बोन्स होंगे, ठीक है, और आपके रिब केज, ईयर, नोज, आपका जो ईयर का पार्ट है, जो आउटर ईयर है, जो इजीली फोल्ड हो जाता है, ठीक है, तो ये आपका बोन नहीं होता है, ये कार्टिलेज है। आपका नोज का दोनों जो नेजल पार्ट है, जो नॉस्ट्रल सेंटर में बोन होती है, बट दोनों साइड जो एला है, एला ऑफ द नोज, दीज आर अगेन मेड अप ऑफ योर कार्टिलेज। ओके, सो ईयर का है, नोज का है, ठीक है, रिब केज में है बहुत सारी जगह, ठीक है, ब्रोंकियल ट्यूब्यूल्स और इंटरवर्टिब्रल डिस्क, इन सब में आपकी कार्टिलेजेस होते हैं, ठीक है। एंड other body components also, they are rigid as bone but not bone, okay, and they're flexible than lesser flexible than your muscles, okay। तो मसल के कंपैरिजन में जो है ये फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी इनकी, इफ यू कंपेयर ना, तो लेस फ्लेक्सिबल होते हैं, लिटिल बिट स्टिफ होते हैं, ठीक है, बट रिजिड एज अ बोन ये दिखेगा और आपको सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करेगा, ओके। बोन, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट बोन टिश्यू इज अ मेजर स्ट्रक्चर। आपका बोन जो होता है वो मेजर स्ट्रक्चर होता है, और इसका फंक्शन क्या होता है, तो बॉडी पार्ट को होल्ड करना, सपोर्ट करना। बोन्स अगर नहीं होंगे ना ह्यूमन बॉडी में, तो हम जो स्ट्रेट स्टैंड हो रहे हैं वो नहीं होगा। तो बेसिक इफ आई टॉक अबाउट जो मसल्स है या रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स है, वो किस पे रैप अप है, तो इन बोन्स पे है। तो बोन्स इज द मेजर स्ट्रक्चर एंड सपोर्टिव स्ट्रक्चर of a human body or a connective tissue system, okay। rigid part of bones made up the skeleton। तो आपके जितने भी बोन्स हैं वो क्या कर रहे हैं, आपको skeletal बना रहे हैं। एंड the function of these skeletal is to provide, you know, the support soft tissue, and they forms the cells, and these cells, you know, the bone forming cells is known as osteoblast, and bone को destroy और decay करने वाली cells को we called it as osteoclast, okay। So with this, we majorly almost covers the basics of tissue. In next class, we are going to start one of your organs. Okay. So we will start gradually with the system. So firstly, I start with the skeletal system. Okay. So it will be more easy for you. Basic tissue हमने पढ़ लिया, हमने cell पढ़ लिया. Now we have to move one by one with organs. तो जो भी organ आप ज़्यादा interested हो skeletal के बाद, you can tell me so I can start with that. Okay. So any pre-request, which system you want to study? Any doubt related to today's lecture related to cell or tissue? Nothing. So just go through the PPTs and just go through the lectures, okay? And we will meet in next class. And I'll share the PPTs by tomorrow, okay? And now I'm ending this lecture. Have a nice day.